I am more inclined to support and believe in some of Greenpeace's policies. I completely stand with them in their war against whalers, whaling ships. The Japanese are quite literally hunting certain whales into extinction because they find them tasty. And Greenpeace don't hamper and disrupt the lives of the ordinary people either. They tend to take their protests directly to the source, i.e. Companies who are harming the environment by dumping toxic waste into rivers and into the seas. And now they've taken it to the most powerful man in the country, the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. And that's the difference between Greenpeace and Just Stop Oil. Just Stop Oil don't care whose lives they disrupt. There was a video online the other day. A woman had lost her husband recently and she was taking her 2 kids to the airport for a well-earned holiday, and she was begging for 3 lines of Just Stop Oil lunatics, all holding hands and walking at a snail's pace in the road in front of her. She was begging them, please, we're going to miss our flights. This is what happened to my kids. Please let us through. And they didn't care. And that's why people hate Just Stop Oil. They are completely out of touch. They have no empathy. And they are heading for a massive, massive showdown with an angry Joe Public. And weirdly, you won't see Just Stop Oil outside the embassies of the world's biggest polluters, i.e. the United States, India and China. China alone is responsible for 27% of the world's pollution. But you don't see them congregating and gluing themselves to the embassy gates there, do you? Because they know what will happen. So while many people can relate to Greenpeace, there is nothing redeemable at all about Just Stop Oil. And so yesterday, Greenpeace took themselves to the Yorkshire home of Rishi Sunak. They climbed onto the roof and draped the house with black blankets or curtains or whatever the hell it was they had on them, but they completely covered the house in a black material. So while some of these Greenpeace members were on the roof doing this, another 2, as you can see here, were stood outside the front with a sign saying Rishi Sunak, oil profits or our future. This is of course a protest about Rishi Sunak expanding Britain's oil sea venture. And I agree with it. I agree with that policy completely. It's more jobs, and this country, this island, is simply can't function without oil, so we need it. Now, I know and I understand some people may say this was completely wrong, that's somebody's house, but fair play to them. They did knock on the door, they checked if anybody was in, and then they did their stunt. And this is what you call directly taking it to the man. All right, Rishi Sunak and family weren't there. They were on holiday in California, where him and his wife have visas, funnily enough. And that's another video for another time. But I agree, this is the way to do it, because you can protest. How many protests have we seen outside Parliament, outside Downing Street, outside Buckingham Palace? How many of those protests have actually been effective? None. And that's because the politicians don't live there. They don't care. They wouldn't give 2 shits if Joe Public trashed the Houses of Parliament. They wouldn't give 2 shits if Joe Public trashed Downing Street or Buckingham Palace. Because these buildings aren't owned by the politicians, they're owned by the public. And this is why, if you have a social justice issue, then this is the way to do it. Take it to the politicians. Obviously, I don't condone invading someone's home. I don't condone stalking or doxing. But I guarantee you, if Just Stop Oil went to a local MP's house or an MP who had influence over environmental issues and policies, and they all glued themselves to the MP's driveway, to the gates, to the car, or just stood there blocking the road entirely, refusing to move, then I guarantee you that MP's wife will make him do something about it. Because it's true what they say, MPs will do absolutely nothing about anything unless it's affecting them personally. And no man, let alone an MP, needs his other half yapping in their ear constantly, telling them to do something. British members of Parliament are paid good money, and that money goes up every year. They give themselves hefty pay rises. And most of them are married. They have wives or husbands, and the wives especially, they're used to living the high life. And if she can get in the car and spend the guy's money shopping or go and socialise with her friends, because protesters have glued themselves to the path, to the driveway, to the gates, then I promise you it'll be her that'll get the MP to notice you and do something about a policy that you want changed. So if Greenpeace can notice this and understand this, why the hell can't Just Stop Oil? But I think it's too late now. Even if they did turn their attention away from harassing Joe Public and go and harangue some MP and his wife in their house, it's too late. I want to see Just Stop Oil in jail and off our streets. And there we go, that's my video. Hope you like. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and until the next time, Roger, try out.